made a bunch of supporting assets, but Google will still hide some of them due to the entries being similar message at the bottom of the SERPs. How do you deal with that and diversify content on entity assets that is not too similar, considering all of them are interlinked? That's a good question. I don't know why Google would say that, because if it's on a different domain, it shouldn't do that, right? It's only typically Google only does that when there's multiple, pages on the same domain that are basically all very, very similar. Then Google will move those to the supplemental index. But usually, even if it's the same, name, address, phone number, business description, etc., if it's on different domains, different platforms, they will index. Unless, again, I've said this before, I think we talked about this last week, was Web 2.0s oftentimes will not index until and unless you pushed some sort of link equity or authority into them, and then they'll index, which is why I recommend that you put them in a G sheet and embed that G sheet in the ID page and use the ID page as the link building target, because then you spend all your money to build links on one primary asset, one centralized location that then is going to distribute link equity and relevance to all of the assets that are linked to or referenced within the ID page. So when you're building a bunch of supporting assets, the most cost-effective way to power them up, to force Google to pay attention to them, is to build links to the ID page where all of those URLs are referenced in a G sheet with hyperlinks at the bare minimum, or embeds or direct hyperlinks. Any one of those would work. Okay. If they're on different domains, they shouldn't be pushed into the supplemental index. They're just either not going to be indexed, or they're usually just not going to be indexed. If they're in the supplementals, that's typically duplicate pages on the same domain that get kind of pushed to that, usually. Okay. And how do you diversify them? Well, you could add more content to each one of them that's unique. You could do that. But again, is that going to be helpful? In my opinion, no, I don't do that. We just hammer the shit out of the ID page with backlinks, and all of those are referenced in the ID page. Okay.